Hey Facebook fans, here's an exclusive clip for you only. This is some of the behind the scenes stuff that'll be on the DVD, but we're pre-releasing it to you guys exclusively. Enjoy.
If I was to tell you my favorite part about the whole movie making process, it would be the directing. It would be the working with the actors. Find Me, for me, was one of those things to say, can I do it? I've always thought I could be a director. I always thought I could pull a good performance out of actors. I always thought I could write a good story. But it was unproven. Until I was challenged by my staff, I didn't know if I could do it. So when I sat down to write Find Me, one of my goals was to say, if somebody were to see this film and you would say, okay, here's our first-time writer, first-time director, working with really no-name talent, can this guy do it? And, did he pull something off here? When I met Tyler and I met Fiona, I knew I had something here because these two people had this charisma about them, in person as well as on camera. And to be able to make the film in 9 days, to shoot 114 scenes in 9 days, we had to be prepared. And so I told these guys, I said, we're going to have to rehearse. So we rehearsed for 8 weeks before the shooting of the film, nights and weekends, basically, whenever we could steal time away. Because everybody had full-time jobs, everybody was working. Tyler and I were working on this one scene, scene 40B, which doesn't mean anything to anybody else, but it's a scene where he talks about when his uncle died and what it was like for him when his uncle died and how it changed his life. And the scene's a very moving scene, and honestly, I'll be completely honest, as a writer, I wrote the scene to see if I could make my audience cry. I wanted to see if I could move the people. And I know that sounds kind of cheap, but I had to know as a writer and as a director, could I do that? And Tyler and I worked on that scene over and over. I bet you we rehearsed it 30, 40 times. And we would always get up to a point, and then I would stop him because I didn't want him to give me the 100% acting, in rehearsal. So here we come. It's time to shoot. And the funny thing is, what you don't see off camera is all the stuff around the car. You've got the car parts, you got your two actors in there, and there's flags, and there's microphones, and there's cameras, and there's lights, and there's all this stuff all around the car that you don't see. I have a set of headphones on, and I'm looking at the monitor, and because it's bright daylight, I've got this black blanket over my head so I can see the monitor, right? Nobody else in the crew can hear what's going on in the car, right? And Tyler and Fiona are going through this scene, and Tyler is doing this description of losing his uncle, and he's just nailing it. I mean, he just swung at it and he hit a home run, and it was amazing. And I'm watching this scene, I'm looking at the monitor, and I'm crying. I'm just bawling, and snot's coming out my nose. It's all over the monitor, and I don't know. I'm so moved by this. And it wasn't so much that I was moved by the scene itself, but what I was moved by was, Tyler, you did it, man. We worked on this. I knew you had it in you, and you did it. And I was so proud of him. And I gotta say, for Fiona the same way. Fiona, her role in that scene was a little bit less, but Fiona brought herself to a point where she was, physically crying listening to this story. She was so moved by it. And both those guys just nailed it. So for me, that was one of the most rewarding times, because as a director, I wanted to know, could I get my actors to a point where they were so believable that even themselves, they were moved emotionally by it, So to go on with the story, it was really kind of funny because I nobody else in the crew, and there's about 30 people standing around, nobody else can hear the dialogue and hear what's going on. The scene is done. I take the thing off my head. I yell cut, and everybody's looking at me, and I've got tears coming down my eyes, and my nose is all runny. Tyler, I run over to the car. I give Tyler a hug. He's crying. I run around. I hug Fiona. She's crying, and everybody else on the crew is like, what's going on? What happened? So that's one of my favorite memories of making this movie, is seeing my actors be all they could be. I'm so proud of them. They did such a great job.